Evan and Lily had been married for 9 years, living in a quiet Oregon neighborhood where most houses looked the same and most days felt predictable. Their life wasn't unhappy, but it had grown quiet in a way that neither of them liked to talk about. It felt like a slow drift of people who still loved each other but didn't know how to say what they needed anymore. They woke up, worked, came home, and lived side by side without really meeting in the middle. Something was missing, though neither wanted to admit it. That was the state of their marriage when Maya Harper moved into the house next door. Her arrival was small and silent. Just a moving truck, a few boxes, and a woman who looked like she was trying her best to stay calm while carrying a whole storm inside her. Maya was in her late 30s, newly divorced, and clearly starting over with more pain than confidence. She smiled softly at neighbors, thanked the movers, kept wiping her eyes when she thought no one was looking. Lily noticed her first. She had a natural instinct to reach out to people in need, and something about Maya immediately stirred that side of her. So the next afternoon, Lily walked over with a plate of warm cookies and a kind smile. Evan watched from the window as the two women talked on the porch. Lily's face softened the way it did when she cared about someone. And Maya kept tucking her hair behind her ear like she wasn't used to being treated gently. When Lily came back home, she spoke quietly, almost carefully. "She seems kind," she said, "and lonely." Evan nodded, though he didn't know why that simple observation made his chest feel tight. A week later, Maya accepted Lily's invitation for dinner. She brought a small salad, an apologetic smile, and the air of someone trying very hard to fit into a world that didn't feel like hers anymore. The three of them talked through dinner about jobs, hobbies, the best hiking spots, and the strange comfort of living near the river. Maya opened up more than they expected. She talked about her divorce not with bitterness, but with sadness, as if the ending had taken something from her she had not learned to replace yet. Something shifted that night. It was small but noticeable. Every time Evan or Lily spoke, Maya listened with her whole heart. When Maya talked, they both leaned in without meaning to. There was a warmth in the room that none of them expected, a simple closeness built from honesty, vulnerability, and the quiet relief of being seen. Later, that night, after Maya left, Lily sat beside Evan on the couch. She didn't speak at first. She just let out a long breath, the kind that carried months of unspoken feelings. "It felt nice tonight," she finally said. Like the house woke up again." Evan understood what she meant. The silence between them had felt heavy lately, but tonight it had dissolved into something lighter, something hopeful. He looked at Lily, noticing how tired she had seemed all these weeks. But now there was color in her cheeks again, softness in her eyes. Lily leaned her head against the couch and whispered, "I don't know what's happening to us, but I know I don't want us to drift anymore." Evan took her hand gently. "Me? Neither." For a moment it felt like that confession closed the distance between them. But then a soft knock echoed through the house. Both of them turned. It was too late for visitors. Evan walked to the door and opened it carefully. Maya stood on the porch, her hair loose, her arms wrapped around herself as if holding her nerves together. Her eyes were warm but unsure. "I'm sorry," she said softly. I didn't want to go home yet." Her voice wavered, and something inside Lily reacted instantly. She stood and moved toward the door, concern flooding her expression. "Maya, what happened?" Lily asked gently. Maya shook her head. "Nothing. I just felt very alone inside that house. And I didn't want to feel that way tonight." Lily opened the door wider. "Come in," she said without hesitation. Maya stepped inside slowly, almost like she was afraid the invitation might disappear if she moved too quickly. Evan watched her closely, not out of suspicion, but because something about her felt fragile, like she needed reassurance more than anything else. She sat on the couch, hands trembling slightly. "I didn't mean to bother you," she murmured. "You both were probably relaxing, and you're not bothering us," Lily said, sitting beside her. "You're welcome here." Always. Evan nodded. You can stay as long as you want. Maya looked at them with a mixture of surprise and gratitude, the kind that came from someone who wasn't used to being cared for. The three of them talked again, quieter this time, deeper. Maya shared more pieces of her life. The lonely evenings, the sudden quiet of her new home, the fear of starting over. Evan talked about feeling disconnected lately. Lily admitted she missed feeling close to someone emotionally. None of it was romantic. None of it was dramatic. It was simply human, three people finding comfort in the same place at the same time. When Maya finally relaxed, leaning back against the couch, the room felt different, not complicated, just warm, just honest. And that was the moment everything quietly shifted. It was the moment the invitation none of them planned finally began the morning after that first unexpected evening. The air in Evan and Lily's home felt different. There was a quiet tension, not unpleasant, like the calm before something important begins. Neither of them had slept well. Thoughts of Maya lingered in their minds. She was kind, gentle, and strangely familiar, as if she belonged in their lives, more than anyone else they knew. But more than that, they both felt something newer, soft pull, a connection that had nothing to do with romance in the obvious sense. It was deeper, emotional, honest. Real. By late afternoon, Maya had returned, this time on purpose. Her steps were hesitant, but determined as she approached the front door. Evan and Lily exchanged a look, a mix of relief and quiet anticipation before Evan opened the door. Maya's eyes were soft, her cheeks slightly flushed from the crisp air, and she smiled in a way that made them both feel protective. She didn't speak at first, just lingered in the doorway. As if deciding whether she was ready for what was about to happen, Lily stepped forward first, gently taking Maya's hand. "You don't have to explain anything," she said softly. "We're glad you came." Maya looked at both of them, her gaze flicking from Evan to Lily and back again. I'm afraid I'll overstay or make things awkward," she admitted. "I'm not used to feeling comfortable around anyone." Evan stepped closer. "It's not awkward. Not here. Not with us." The three of them moved into the living room, sitting close enough to hear each other but still giving space. Maya's presence filled the room like a missing puzzle piece. She had a quiet strength beneath her vulnerability, and both Evan and Lily could feel it even if she didn't realize it herself. They began talking again, slowly at first, about lighter things, books, favorite places in town, memories from childhood. Then the conversation shifted naturally into deeper topics. Maya spoke of the loneliness that followed her divorce, the nights spent staring at the ceiling, wondering if she'd ever feel connected again. Evan admitted to the drifting, feeling in his marriage, the quiet sense of loss that sometimes followed him home. Lily shared her own frustrations and fears, the ways she sometimes felt invisible even to the person she loved most. There were no judgments, no pressure, only understanding. Every word they shared built trust, the kind that comes from real emotional honesty. Every small laugh, every soft sigh, every glance held weight. They were discovering one another not just as friends or neighbors, but as people willing to be seen without pretense. It was rare and fragile, and yet it felt natural, inevitable. At one point, Maya's voice dropped to a whisper, a tone. "No why, but being here, it feels safe. Like I belong somewhere, even if only for tonight." Lily reached for her hand again, a gentle squeeze that spoke louder than words. "Maybe because you do," she said simply. Maya looked at her with wide eyes, as if trying to process the sincerity in Lily's words. Evan watched the exchange quietly, feeling something warm spread through him. It was a complicated warmth, protective, caring, emotional, but it wasn't romantic in the typical sense. It was the warmth of three people connecting over shared vulnerability, over the quiet admission that they each needed more than what they had been giving themselves. The conversation shifted again, this time more playful. They shared stories from work, funny incidents that had happened in the neighborhood, and even light teasing. Maya's laughter was soft but genuine, a sound that seemed to ease tension in the room. Evan and Lily exchanged a look, realizing that in just one night, Maya had brought something back into their lives that had been missing for months: a sense of joy, unpredictability, and closeness that wasn't forced or awkward. Yet as the evening stretched on, the reality of emotions grew heavier. Maya shifted in her seat, avoiding direct eye contact. Her voice, when she finally spoke, trembled slightly. I'm afraid of needing this too much," she said quietly. "I don't want to rely on anyone else for happiness. I've been alone for so long." Lily leaned closer, keeping her tone calm and reassuring. "No one here wants to take your happiness away or pressure you. We just want to share it gently. Only if you're ready." Evan nodded. "Sometimes connection is worth the risk, and you don't have to figure everything out at once." Maya's lips trembled as she tried to smile. Her hands clenched together nervously. "I'm scared," she admitted. "I haven't let myself feel this before." "And that's okay," Lily said softly. "We'll be patient. We'll be here." The room felt quiet for a few moments, the kind of silence that is heavy but comforting at the same time. It wasn't awkward, it was intentional, reflective. Each of them was thinking about the new possibilities that had quietly entered their lives. For Evan and Lily, it was the realization that their marriage could be stronger, warmer, and more connected if they allowed someone else to bring in fresh energy, perspective, and companionship. For Maya, it was the dawning awareness that she didn't have to carry her burdens alone anymore. When Maya finally stood, ready to leave for the night, there was a softness in her expression. She glanced at both of them, eyes glistening. "Thank you for tonight. I haven't felt this seen in a long time." "You're always welcome here," Lily said. "And not just tonight," Evan added. "Any time you want." Maya nodded slowly. She lingered at the door, almost hesitant to leave. I think I need this," she whispered. "Even if I'm scared." Lily smiled gently. "You can take it one step at a time. We'll be here." Maya stepped outside, the night air cool against her skin. She looked back once, and in that glance was trust, curiosity, and a quiet hope. The door closed behind her, and the house felt strangely still, yet alive in the way it hadn't before. The evening had changed everything softly, subtly, irreversibly. Something new had begun, something rooted in honesty, care, and the unspoken. Promise that none of them would face their loneliness alone again. And as Evan and Lily sat together on the couch, their hands brushing, they both knew it. What they felt for Mayanan, what she felt for them, was just the beginning of a journey none of them had expected. But all of them were ready to explore. The morning sun spilled into the quiet neighborhood, soft and golden. Evan and Lily woke with the memory of last night lingering in their minds, a mixture of warmth, hope, and uncertainty. Maya hadn't come over yet, and for the first time they realized how much they had come to depend on her presence, not in a romantic way, but as a vital thread weaving them closer together. There was an emptiness where she wasn't, even for a few hours. Neither spoke of it, but both felt it sharply. By mid-morning, the quiet became too heavy to ignore. Evan glanced at Lily. "We can't just wait," he said. "She might need a little push to know we really mean it." Lily nodded, her heart beating fast. "Let's go see her. Not to pressure her, just to be honest." They walked together to Maya's porch, leaves crunching underfoot. The air smelled faintly of autumn, crisp and comforting. When they knocked lightly on the door, there was no answer. The curtains stayed closed, and a flicker of worry passed over their faces. "She's scared," Lily whispered. "She thinks she's imposing. She's not." Evan took a deep breath and knocked again, a little firmer this time. The door opened just a few inches. Maya peeked through, her eyes red-rimmed, and her lips trembled slightly. She looked smaller somehow, more vulnerable than the day before. I'm sorry, she whispered. I told myself I shouldn't get too close. I can't rely on anyone. You don't have to rely on anyone, Evan said gently. Not yet. Just be here. That's enough. Lily stepped forward, her hand resting lightly on Maya's arm. You don't have to face life alone anymore. Not if you don't want to. We'll care about you, about your feelings. We want you in our lives. It's only if you're ready. Maya's eyes widened, searching both of them for something she couldn't quite name. She seemed frightened and hopeful at the same time. I don't know if I can, she said softly. I've been alone for so long. I don't know how to let someone in. Evan shook his head calmly. It's okay. No one is asking you to. Just be honest with us. That's all we want. The rest will come naturally. Lily smiled warmly, stepping a little closer. Think of it like joining a team or a family. We don't expect perfection. We don't expect answers. Just trust us enough to stay a little while longer. Maya blinked rapidly, trying to hold back tears. The tension in her shoulders softened just a little, as if she could finally let herself breathe. She took a small step forward, then another, until she was fully in the doorway. The morning light wrapped around her, making her look both fragile and strong. I think I want that, she whispered, her voice barely audible. I want to be part of your lives. I want connection, even if it scares me. Lily's eyes glistened. That's all we're asking for. You don't have to promise forever. Just be here. Be honest with yourself and with us. Evan nodded. Exactly. That's all. Maya paused for a moment, taking in the sight of them, the warmth in their eyes, the calm assurance in their voices. Her lips trembled again, but this time it was a smile that broke through. A small, hesitant smile, but real. She nodded once. Okay, she said softly. I'll join you. I want to. It wasn't a dramatic confession. There was no overwhelming passion, no sudden declarations of love. It was something quieter, yet more powerful, a conscious choice to trust, to step forward, to let herself be part of something new. For the first time in a long while, Maya felt like she belonged somewhere. Even if it was just a small corner of someone else's life. The three of them stood there for a moment, letting the words settle, letting the silence speak louder than any emotion could. Then Lily reached out and gently took Maya's hand. Evan placed a hand on Lily's shoulder, forming a small circle of reassurance and care. It was a hug that wasn't about romance, not in a conventional sense. It was about emotional intimacy, trust, and the quiet promise that none of them would face life alone again. I'm glad you're here, Lily whispered. Me too, Maya said, her voice steadier now. I was afraid, but I want to try. Evan smiled softly. We'll take it one day at a time. No pressure, no expectations, just together. They stepped back slightly, giving space, but keeping the connection unbroken. For the first time, the living room felt alive, not with excitement or drama, but with warmth, honesty, and hope. It was as if the house itself had exhaled, relieved that the loneliness and distance that had crept into their lives was finally beginning to lift. Over the next few minutes, they sat down together, talking quietly about the days ahead. Simple things: walks in the park, shared dinners, movies, and long conversations. Each suggestion was met with soft laughter or a nod of agreement. The plans were small, mundane, yet meaningful. They weren't grand gestures. They were seeds of a new life. Slowly taking root, Maya stayed longer than she expected, lingering as though she didn't want to leave the safe circle of their connection. She realized that the warmth she had feared, the closeness she had avoided, was not overwhelming or dangerous. It was gentle, patient, and exactly what she needed when she finally left. Stepping outside into the morning light, the air felt lighter, fresher. She glanced back at Evan and Lily, smiling. They waved, and she waved back, a small act that carried more meaning than words ever could. Inside the house, Evan and Lily sat together again, hands brushing lightly, hearts full. They didn't need to speak. The understanding was unspoken but complete. Something new had begun, not dramatic or sudden, but steady, emotional, and real. They knew the journey wouldn't always be easy. There would be moments of doubt, fear, and uncertainty. But for the first time in a long time, they all felt connected, supported, and hopeful. The day stretched on, ordinary in every way, yet extraordinary in the quiet power of what had been chosen. Three hearts, once lonely and unsure, were now ready to move forward together, cautiously, honestly, and with the kind of care that could grow into something truly lasting. And that was how everything quietly changed. No fireworks, no grand declarations, just trust, honesty, and the willingness to step into a new chapter together.